Now that we've got this section cut out of our collision job, what I got to do is I got to make sure that this car is square. Because if the front end of that car isn't square, we're fucked. We're fucked in the ass, and there's nothing we can do about it. So what I've done here is I went ahead and took my level. This is a little small level, and there's a square hole, and I stuck it in here. It's lined up with this bolt hole right here. And I kind of just pushed it in there because we got to cross measure this. Do you see what I'm saying? So what I'm going to do, because the engine's a little bit taller than the frame and all that, let's try to get some of this bullshit out of the way because this is kind of a tricky job. But we got to make sure that all this is squared up. So I got that over there, and then I got this right here. There's another bolt hole right there, and I'm going to stick that right there, and I guess we can move this fucking thing. So now what we got to do is we got to cross measure it from here, and then we'll find another point maybe over there and over here, and hopefully we can get this thing square to make sure that it's all squared up. So I'm going to take my tape measure, just like you see right here, and then I'm going to hold that right on that edge, just like that, and then we're going to go ahead and, motherfucker, son of a bitch. Let me try that one more fucking time. Because this is a serious situation and we got to get these measurements right. I'm here by myself. It's New Year's fucking Day 2015. I'm here by myself working. Alright, I don't have another set of fucking hands to help do this, that, and the other. The fucking motor's in the fucking way. And I'm trying to measure this fucking shit out. Let's try that again. Because I can't very well go straight across like that. You see what happens, I'm hitting the end. So I'm going to try this again, and we're going to go ahead and get this fucker measured. So what it says here is that I got 56 and fucking bitch. You know what, this is bullshit. This is fucking bullshit, because what I really need to make this all work is a fucking tram gauge.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
Okay, what you just saw was a recreation of one guy in his garage at home, talking about you right there. The guy that says, I don't trust anybody, the big boys are gonna fuck me in my ass, I wanna do this job myself guy that's got all the tools to do it, but guess what, you're missing one fucking tool, pal. And that tool starts with a T and ends with an M, and it's called a gauge, tram gauge. Now what a tram gauge is, it's a tool that can precisely cross-measure and precisely make accurate measurements on factory settings that are punched out in the car throughout the whole fucking car. So if we look at this bolt hole right here on the right-hand side of our frame rail, we're going to see that this bolt hole on the left-hand side of our frame rail is in exactly, precisely the same spot. Let's go ahead and look at the front of this core support that we have cut off here. We'll look at the front of it, and you can see, just by looking at it, you can see that this is basically in the same position as that. And then these holes right here, look at this hole right here, is exactly the same hole as that hole. So people that do collision work for a living, they use these holes and these marks for measurements. Now they also have books and schematics that you can purchase to go ahead and get those measurements and schematics of simplicity out of them to find the accuracy that you need. But you really don't need that, because basically what you're doing is squaring everything up and making sure that it doesn't have to be taken to the frame shop, and that's where a tram gauge comes in handy. And today, my friend Pete is going to show you how to make a tram gauge instead of buy one of these big, giant, expensive fucking bullshit tools, I'm going to show you how to make one that is precise and accurate and works perfect, that can clear everything that we need on this motor to make our measurements and to make sure that everything's squared up. Let's get over on the other side of the shop and let's start making our tram gauge. All right, here we are getting ready to make our tram gauge. Now, you can buy all the pieces necessary to build your tram gauge over at your local Home Depot or Lowe's. I don't like advertising for these cock rings, but I have to say their names so you, the viewer, knows where to get all the stuff you need. Let's take a look at everything we purchased to make our tram gauge, and then we'll start making it. So if we look right here, you can see these are some round cylinder type rods. And this one in particular, this is a, what size is this? Half inch. This is a half-inch outside diameter tubing that you can purchase at Lowe's, and this is very crucial because this is going to be our main housing of our tram gauge. Now, the one that we are going to make is just going to be an all-around average style tram gauge, and we'll get into this later, but I'm going to show you how to extend that tram gauge and make it bigger if necessary. But I believe the one that we're going to make is going to work out just fine. Now, this piece of steel right here is 3 feet long. So we got one, we got, hold on, how many do we got? We got two. Okay, so I purchased two 3-foot, half-inch diameter tubing. These are steel. And you're going to need steel to make this. And then I bought 4 3-foot, 3/8-inch aluminum rod. Now, this is a lightweight aluminum rod, and it's 3 feet long. So I got 4 of those. Now what we're going to do is, the reason that you want to use the aluminum, because it's lighter weight for one, but it also fits in the half-inch tubing very precisely, and you can see that as I slide this in, and you notice that it has very little tolerance and fits perfect. And then I went ahead and purchased 10. Okay, you just saw me count them. I'm sorry, I'm kind of, it's New Year's fucking day, okay? Give me a fucking break here. All right? I got 10 of these bastards right here. What are these called? These are called a thumb screw. I'm reading the back of the package here to tell me, to let you know what the fuck these are. All right, so we got 10 thumb screws, 1/4 inch. Those are 1/4 inch by 20. All right, at least I got that fucking right without reading something. What we're going to do is take our main body tube. This is the tube I was telling you about, the half-inch tubing. And what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole on each end of it. So we're going to go ahead and put our tubing in a vise, just like this. All right, now that we got it marked, what we want to do, we want to go ahead and drill a hole through one side of the tube, which will be our top side, we'll call this. Now, we're going to be using 1/4 by 20 thread bolts, or thumb bolts that we bought. So what I want to do is I want to make that hole bigger than a 1/4 by 20, so I'm going to go 5/16 on that. But before I do that, since this is a tube, I'm going to go ahead and draw a smaller hole than the 1/4 inch to use as a pilot hole. And then once that's done, what we'll do is we'll come back taking our 5/16 drill and then drilling that out. If I can get this fucking drill to fucking bitch! Motherfucker! These fucking drills and these fucking drill bits will piss you fucking off. Fuck, man. Fucker. This is not a left-hand fucking drill. Did you know that? Every time you use it, you push that fucker with your finger right there and it goes backwards. This is made for fucking right-hand people. What about us with a fucking left hand? Okay, there. Okay, once we drilled our holes out, you want to make sure and remove all the burrs using a grinder or a fucking, grinding wheel. So let me get that off, and then once we get that burr off, we'll be right back. All right, now that we got our holes drilled on each end, You can see that one, and there's that one. What you want to do before you go any further, you want to take your drill, just like this, stick it inside the hole, and make sure that there's no burrs from where you drilled the hole. You want to take your drill and kind of clean that out. And then, once that's done, you want to go ahead and test fit your rod back into the hole, making sure that it slides nice and easy. Okay, and I like the way that fits. And then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take our 1/4 inch nut, and this is where our welding comes in, and we are going to weld a nut onto the hole. How are we going to make sure that is precise, my friend Pete? How do we know where that fucking thing is going to be welded? What I'm going to do, I'm going to take a 1/4 by 20 inch carriage bolt. You can see how long that is. And then when I put that in the hole, that's going to help me line that up to make sure that I weld it perfectly square and flat. So when I put the thumb bolt on there, it will screw in properly. So by precisely holding that just where I want it and using our bolt as a guide, I will go ahead and weld the nut onto the rod. Make sure when you weld your nuts onto the rod that you get very good penetration. Just to ensure that we got good penetration, what I'll do is I will move my rod into a position like this. And I'll also go ahead and add another weld on the side. Okay, now that our rod is done, we'll go ahead and get 2 of our thumb bolts. So what these are called, thumb screws. And we'll go ahead and screw them in the hole. And then we'll take our rod and we'll slide that in just like that. And then we're going to take our other rod and slide it in just like this. And I see that this one here is being a pain in the ass. What that is where our weld had penetrated into the metal, and we need to clean that off. So the way that we'll go ahead and clean that out is we're going to get a drill bit that fits very, very tightly inside the hole, just like so. And then we'll run our drill bit in and out of that hole until we get all the burrs off necessary. And then our rod should slide in there and fit, just like that. So that is how you start your tram gauge, just like this. And then we'll tighten that up on there. And you don't need to tighten it real tight because that is aluminum and we don't want to put burrs in it. So just enough to hold it on there, and yeah, you get the idea. So now that we got the main body of the tram gauge done, we got to make our pointers, which come down this way. And the way that we're going to do that is we are going to take our other piece of rod that we purchased. This is our half-inch rod, our half-inch tubing, I might say, not rod. And what we will do is we will go ahead and cut 4 pieces of metal out, approximately 3 inches each. Let's see what we got here. Okay, we're going to cut them out to be 2 to 3 inches. We'll cut 2 2-inchers, and then we'll cut, let's see, 2 2-inchers and 2 3-inchers. How does that sound? Let's go over to the chop saw and let's get her cut. Once we got that done, we want to make sure that they're going to fit on our rods without any problems, and it looks like they are, okay? That's what we want right there. Alright, so we'll take our tubes, go ahead and mount those in our vise just like so, and then drill the holes, weld the nuts on, and get down the road with this project. Alright, now that we got the nuts welded onto our shafts, what we're going to do is we are going to weld those together. So we're going to take one short one and one long one, And then what we'll do is we will put them in a T just like this. And then we'll go ahead and weld that on there. Okay, now that we have done all our welding and we've added all our nuts to it, it's time to go ahead and add our thumb screws to our pieces that we welded, and then go ahead and put our tram gauge together. Okay, we just ran into a problem here. The threads on this are fucked, so what we need to do is tap that out. That's another reason I used 1/4 inch, because it's real common and easy to go ahead and tap that thread out so it'll work properly. Go ahead and tap those babies out, and that's what makes it nice using the 1/4 inch bolts versus the nuts versus the whatever the fuck else you're going to use. You can always go back, tap them out, and they'll work great. And then we're ready to go ahead and put our tram gauge together. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and use my grinding wheel to make a point right here. That's real important to have a point on the end of your tram gauge. Okay, let's get this thing together and let's see how it's going to work for us. Alright, now that we got all our pieces done, everything's together. One more thing that you could do before you put it together, you can go ahead and paint those if you wanted to. I'm just going to leave mine bare metal. I don't really give a fuck. But if you're one of them tidy guys and meticulous motherfuckers out there that has to have everything flawlessly perfect, paint that bitch to your liking, and now, guess what? You got a painted fucking tram gauge. Wow. And now, what we got is a homemade tram gauge that you can use on your collision repairs and your home DIY do-it-yourself fucking whatever the fuck you got to measure to make sure that it's precise. Let's go try it out. Let's see how it works. And hopefully everything's gonna fucking work out great. Okay, now that we got our tram gauge made, let's go ahead and test it out on the car and see what the fuck is gonna go on. So the first thing we want to do, we want to find a hole that we can use, which is right there. And then we want to come over here with this side. We're going to slide it out just like this to meet up with that hole. We're going to tighten it up just like so. And then when we take it off, this hole and that hole should line up exactly perfect. And then we're going to come over here and put this one right here. And we see that that is approximately an inch out. Motherfucker. So what we'll do is measure this right here, getting our tram gauge where it should be, and then measuring these ones to see if they're the same, which they're fucking not. Am I on the right hole here? I wasn't on the right fucking hole. I wasn't on the right hole, bitch! Okay, let's try this again. We're going to come over here. We'll bring our rod out to match up with this hole, just like this. And then we'll tighten up our tram gauge. And then we're going to go from that hole there to this hole here. And it is perfect, right on the money. So, that is a tram gauge, and that is how you use a tram gauge. And that is how you make a homemade tram gauge. It's a tool that says, you know what, I don't use this fucking thing every fucking day. I don't use it every day. Why do I need to buy $1,000 equipment that I don't fucking need every day? You will use this thing probably, maybe, and this is if you do this for a living, once a month, maybe twice a month maximum. The job that we're doing here, if you're doing this at home, you will use that one fucking time and then wrap it all up and put it together for 2 or 3 more years. So, that's a tram gauge, that's how it works. It's a measuring device that says, my car is square. This is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete, showing you, telling you, and taking my time out to build and restore and make and manufacture everything and anything to keep DIY Auto School going, because you don't know everything and neither do I, and you want to learn and I want to teach, and that's why DIY Auto School is open 24 hours a day for you to learn and keep in contact with my friend Pete. Leave a comment on this piece of shit. Let me know what you think. And let's get her done. Take it easy. My friend Pete, your friend Pete, all the way over here at my shop on New Year's Day 2015, working to pay my fucking bills. See you later.
D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you